If you build custom software for people and you don't get this right, you might tank your entire business. This one thing is what sets my software business apart from any others. It's not technical skill, it's not software and coding ability, it's not what tools I use. It is the management of client expectations. I'm going to take this video to walk you through the soft skills of client management. This is huge in the software development space because, as you know, there's always going to be bugs, there's always going to be room for improvement, and if you don't get in front of this, clients are going to blame you for every small thing that they can find. It's happened to me, it's happened to people that I know, and if you're not careful about this, it could end up ruining your reputation rather than what it could be, an opportunity to show your clients how much you care, how much you're willing to work with them, and how good you actually are as a software builder. This one thing is actually the make or break. If you don't get this right, clients will blame you for everything, say that you delivered buggy software, and end up leaving bad reviews. Whereas if you get it right, you can lock in retainers, work with people long term, make more cash, deliver better product, and have your clients be collaborators rather than your enemies or people that are just looking for reasons to say that you did a bad job. So this slideshow behind me is going to show you how I paint that picture with my clients. But first, a little bit about me. I build custom software for businesses, whether that's a SaaS, internal tool, portal, or something else. I've worked with people across industries such as logistics, recruiting, finance, real estate, and others. And these are companies making multiple millions of dollars per year and having hundreds of people in their headcount. So I use a lot of car analogies. I'm a big car guy. I like car shows. I think they're beautiful. And this is how I best explain a lot of concepts. So when I get into any engagement with a client, I want them to understand that there are opportunities to use software out there. There are other softwares out there that currently exist in the market to solve your problem, but you don't want that. You probably don't want that. That's why we're having a conversation, right? You could use Salesforce. You could use Asana. You could use ClickUp. You could have any of these ones that are currently existing out there, but you know what they are is the off-the-shelf options. You know that you're going to buy a Chevy Malibu and you're going to get a Chevy Malibu experience, but you're not going to get it to be exactly how you want it. You're not going to get it to fit exactly how you want it. It's just a consistent, reliable thing that a lot of people, the consensus has said this is what we want, and it has been built to satisfy that consensus opinion. If you want to ride in a consensus vehicle, you are more than welcome to ride in a consensus vehicle, but you probably don't if we're having a conversation. What you want, if we're having a conversation, is going to be something closer to a custom, badass machine that is focused on the way that you like to drive, right? The whole idea is you need to optimize for a specific use. You need something that works with how you and your team work every day. If you're crawling up mountains, you need something like a badass truck with 4x4 and that little snorkel that goes up top and very good grippy tires. But that wouldn't make so much sense in the city, right? Versus if you just want to cruise with the boys, you can have this nice drop Chevrolet over here that's ass when it comes to speed bumps and when it comes to anything on the road, but it just looks so good, right? You're not taking this thing off-roading. At most, you're maybe taking it drifting, but even then you have to change the suspension and stuff like that. Or last but not least, if you want some kind of midnight club energy and you want to look like a Yakuza boss, you can have this Mercedes over here with the nice wide body kit and the spoiler and the all black tinted windows, right? I like doing this. This is why I got into the game. I want to make custom vehicle versions of software for people because I like to fit things custom to people and have them have the experience of being like, this was made just for me. This is craftsmanship, okay? And if you look at it this way, then it'll start to make a lot more sense. And people understand this, right? If you tell them that we're going to give you the best driving experience that you've ever had, you're going to have every knob and button in the place that you want it to have, you're going to have none of the extra features that cost you money but you don't use, they understand that. They understand that. But the part that they don't understand is sometimes the process to get there. I cannot read your mind. I cannot understand what you want before you tell me what you want. You probably can't understand what you want before you give it a few test drives. So we have to make that part of the process clear, or we're both screwed. I'm going to build something you don't want and waste time. You're going to get something that you don't want and you're going to feel betrayed. You're going to feel like I'm not building according to your real desires. You're going to feel like I've been wasting time doing something else. You're going to feel like I made bugs and errors and stuff that shouldn't have ever happened. I get that, but we need to communicate. As the custom developer, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're laying out the process. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to lay out the structure of calls, conversations, and stuff like this, okay? So very beginning, you have the sales call. In the sales call, you're gonna perform what's called a discovery, Disco for short. Discovery is going over the requirements of the project, what they currently have, if they have anything, and the initial set of expectations, like how you guys work, whether it's a retainer, whether it's a project fee or a percentage deal or whatever it is. You hammer that out in the sales call. Something to do in this call to like drop the seed is that yes, you are selling the ability for these people to not pay for subscriptions like long term, like years and years for Asana, ClickUp, and stuff like that. But for the meantime, to get this off the ground, they're going to need to dedicate a certain amount of months or weeks with you. Most projects are at least 2 months. Some of them can go as long as 6 months, depending on the client and how much they want to put into this. Some people want one main feature. Some people want 5 features. You'll learn as time goes on. A safe bet is about 2 months for most projects. This is to initialize the code base, to get the main set of features, to get feedback, and then to have it to a place where it's releasable, okay? So already on this freaking call right here, you want to start setting expectations that they're going to be working with you for a decent chunk of time. And there's going to be checking points to make sure that you're building what they want, okay? Next call is going to be a kickoff call, okay? On the kickoff call, your main focus is going to be access. You want to make sure that you have the access that you need if they've already built something on GitHub, on Lovable, on Replit, or whatever. You want to get the access and the right permissions, right? You don't want to go back and forth a lot when it comes to getting access and permissions. It's annoying, it's over email, and it doesn't do anything productive. It's just getting the ball rolling. So get access, or if you're creating the accounts, like creating the stuff on your end, which I don't recommend. I think you create accounts in their end to get them to give you access, and then that's the way to proceed, right? Maybe you need to get them access to some documents that you have or something like that to support, but the actual build itself, usually you have their accounts, they own everything, and then they give you access. You just have to walk them through that. A lot of times I've tried to kind of like let people do it on their own and figure it out, but it's just a lot simpler if you stay on, you screen share with them live on the Zoom call, and you get access that you need. People will appreciate it, okay? And then from this point, you have project building. So in the project building, what you want to do is you want to set up checkpoints. You want to set up bi-weekly, monthly checkpoints. I opt for bi-weekly. I think that's a smooth rhythm so that you have enough deep work time where you're unbothered to make significant progress on the code. You don't want to have all these check-ins for no reason. This is not a communication heavy service. This is a development technology heavy service. So you need time to develop and be with the technology, but you need to keep your people informed, right? So what I like to do is like one written / pre-recorded update per week, and then a live call on a bi-weekly basis, right? And the purpose of these live calls is to get what's called buy-in. Okay? You want buy-in, which is essentially your client saying, yes, that looks good. Yes, that makes sense. Yes. Or even if it's a no, we need a little adjustment here, or no, we need a little adjustment here, you want that now rather than at the end. The thing you want to avoid the most is to go through all this process here, go through the very end, and then you're delivering something that is completely different than what they expected, but you put in all these hours of effort, and now you have to go and undo things because people weren't clear and all this stuff, and it ends up messing you up, and it ends up putting a sour taste in their mouth, and it's just bad. It breeds resentment on both sides, and it's not good. Okay, so make sure that you put in these check-in points. Make sure that you put in points where people can say, that's exactly what I want, or that's not exactly what I want. Let's make a small adjustment, and then do the adjustment. Okay, so let's say each one of these points is every 2 weeks, and now you're at 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks. So that's 2 months right here at this point. And now this is basically the point of what I would call the internal beta, meaning they're not releasing it to any of their users, or if it's like a completely internal tool, you're giving it to the admins and not the entire team just yet. In the internal beta, this is very important. You need to set the expectation that is not 100% done. It is done enough so that we can get the first round of feedback from these internal beta test users, okay? As far as the feedback, I like to break it down into 3 different categories. You're gonna have bugs, which are just things that don't work, small issues like a login issue, a button doesn't click, or something's inconsistent or something like that, right? Very important to get these out. Set the expectation these are to be expected. You don't want a lot of them. It makes it look kind of bad, but it's just the nature of the game. Sometime, somewhere throughout building 5 features or 5 pages or all this stuff, something's just not going to click right, and it's totally fine. If you paint the picture that it's fine, they'll accept that it's fine, okay? That's the very key here. If you paint the picture that it's fine, they'll accept that it's fine. Second thing is going to be adjustments. These are going to be like, oh, I want this button somewhere else, or I'd like this view to be a list instead of a table, or I want this color to be slightly changed, or I want a logo, or I want a headline and stuff like that. These are very clearly preferences. And I allow a few of these in this period of internal beta. You don't want to let these fly. You don't want to let these become out of control, because then you're just building for free and the scope has basically gone off the rails. But I do think it's nice in terms of goodwill to allow a few of these adjustments. And the last thing is going to be additions, okay? And these are very clearly going to be a new scope. You want to make sure that if anyone says, hey, can you add a payment processor? Can you add this other feature? You know what would be cool? This other thing, or this automation here. Those are very clearly additions, okay? So what you want to do in this internal beta is to look for these three things. The bugs are going to be the most important. The adjustments are going to be the nice goodwill builders, and the additions are going to be the ones that you flag for more work down the line, which is totally fine. You want that, right? Don't let these two become bothers. These two things are signals that they trust you to continue to build their thing and they're excited about their project. Just make sure you contain that project and get paid for it. So back to the main timeline. We have the internal beta, and you can do it however you feel is right. I like to give it 2 weeks, 14 days. The key though is to be pretty responsive during this time, because people are going to want to make sure that those bugs are fixed. And if additions are going to be approved, you approve them. And if they have scoping questions, you can give them a price and then you can move forward, right? This is where speed is a little bit more important than the previous one, because that responsiveness is going to be a critical thing if they want to work with you in like a retainer fashion. Okay, so the internal beta is one of those 2 weeks, and then the external beta is the next of those 2 weeks. Okay. And this is where you have external users. So if it's a platform that's going to be sold to other users, you get a small batch, 5 to 10 users onto the platform, and now they're reporting to your client, and your client's reporting to you what those users are experiencing. The reason why you want to do this is because you have more surface area. You have more people doing unexpected things to cover more parts of your project to report up to you. And again, you want to take the perspective that these things, these bugs, these additions, and these adjustments are expected. You want them to come. You're helpful. You're more than happy, because this means the more of these that you knock out, the closer you get to a custom feeling dashboard. These people buy in. These people feel like they're cooking alongside you. They're cooking a dish and it tastes better once they eat it. It is part human psychology and just part reality. How do you get a good product? You have the person that decides if it's good to build it alongside with you, right? And yes, you want to avoid the danger of becoming like the tool that people just say, hey, do this thing, and you become like this, like, tool. You always want to offer like your perspective on product design and push back a little bit on why a feature might not be the best idea and why this connection might not be the best thing. That is very valuable. And that's also something you want to do. You want to make sure during this process, you're also potentially pushing back. You're also saying, I think this should be an addition. I think you should look into this. Or should you avoid this because you've seen it before? This entire section here is a lot of trust building, all right? Whether it's internal or external, you're building trust that you can design and deliver on a product, okay? And then that leads us to the last part. So once the external beta is done, this here is officially handoff, okay? You say, okay, we got most of the bugs out, we got most of the things out. Now we just have to put a line in the sand and say, this is the handoff. If you'd like to continue with us, we're gonna have a 30-day subscription option. And you can go 1 month at a time. You can prepay for 2 months or whatever. In this period of time, you're going to do almost the same thing. You're going to report bugs and get them fixed. You're going to report adjustments and get those done. And then you're going to propose additions, and then we'll scope those out together. So what I like to do is to create maximums. And I say small, medium, and large, right? You can do 10 small things, 5 medium things, and 3 big things, right? A big thing would be something like a Stripe integration. A medium thing would be something like a new form. A small thing would be something like changing the color of a button. So in these 30 days, you can do 10 small things, 5 medium, and 3 large, and you're covered. Here's a nuance to it. If you price this whole thing low, I would say do not include additions. Do not include additions if you're pricing this low. That would be like a maintenance, okay? So maintenance is basically to maintain, right? Nothing new, just maintaining, right? And so you are allowing these two, and there'd be a small monthly retainer, definitely smaller than what would be the next step, which would be co-building. A co-building retainer is probably going to be around twice the price of something like a maintainer. But that allows you to bring back in additions. So if they want new things like a new feature, a new page, or something like that, and they don't want to go through the scoping process again, you don't want to go through the scoping process again. At this point, you've built up enough trust through this entire process here that you're able to say, instead of hundreds of dollars per month to maintain, what you want to do is co-build. So we're going to make sure we have something that is reasonable to get that done for you. Happy to do it, but we got to make sure it's reasonable. I got to edit this. I don't know if this is insanely sloppy or actually clear, but this is the idea, okay? If you do this right, you will get people that will stay with you for a long time, and they will appreciate it, and they will enjoy the process. And it's like you guys are building together. It's going to be nice. They're going to pay you. You're going to get what you want. You're going to deliver fixes. It's going to be nice and clean and simple. But if you don't set the expectations that there's this development process that they're going to go through, there's going to be the internal beta, the external beta, where they should expect some bugs, they should expect some hiccups, etc. And then there's going to be this ongoing thing that if they want this full vision to be built out, then there's going to be a longer term relationship. If you don't set that expectation, people are going to say, you did not deliver what you said you would. I had this idea and it's just not working out. It sucks. It really, really sucks. If you care about this stuff, if you just want to fucking make money and disappear, then okay, do what you want. But if you want long-term clients, if you want good reputation, if you want long-term big money, you should focus on making this process as smooth as possible. And this could be considered business, it could be considered client management, but this is the stuff that will separate you from the best builders that don't know how to manage people, and also the other side of the coin, which is people that are very good at sales but don't know how to build anything. This is the key. If you can build and lead the client down this path, you will be absolutely phenomenal, my friend. Okay? So just wanted to make this to kind of get my ideas out there, help you out, help myself out, to put this in even more clear language. All the best. I need a goddamn haircut. This is, oh my gosh. Anyways, if you want more, check out my school, check out the channel. Adios.